Alright, so picture this, folks. Canada, America's friendly northern neighbor, has decided to change its tune a little. British Columbia has rolled out a new piece of legislation, essentially a giant, expensive welcome mat for US commercial trucks. Except when I say welcome mat, I mean toll booth. BC is now imposing tolls on American commercial traffic, especially those heading up to Alaska. It's like they're saying, oh, you want to use our roads? That'll be extra, please. This isn't just a small fee, it's a significant move. For many American trucks, especially those carrying goods to and from Alaska, BCAS highways are pretty much the only game in town. So slapping tolls on these routes is a bit like your neighbor suddenly charging you to use the sidewalk in front of their house. It's unexpected, bold, and definitely got everyone talking, especially south of their border. BC's government isn't mincing words either. They're essentially saying they've been pushed, and now they're pushing back. This isn't just about raising cash for road maintenance, this is a direct response, a calculated chess move in a larger game of economic back and forth. The initial reaction? Surprise is an understatement. For years, the US-Canada relationship has been built on a certain understanding, a kind of North American politeness pact. This move by BC feels like someone just flipped the poutine-filled table. It's a bold maneuver that has caught many off guard, and you just know this is going to make for some very interesting diplomatic phone calls. Hello, America? Yes, it's BC about those roads. Yeah, they're premium now. So how did we even get here? Why is BC suddenly playing toll booth tycoon with American trucks? Well, to understand that, we need to rewind a bit. Remember President Trump and his love for tariffs? He was handing them out like Oprah gives away cars. You get a tariff, everybody gets a tariff. And Canada, despite being a close ally, was not spared. The US slapped tariffs on all sorts of Canadian goods: steel, aluminum, softwood lumber, you name it. For Canada, these tariffs were seen as completely unjustified and a bit of a betrayal. The Canadian government, including leaders in British Columbia, voiced their strong disapproval. Initially, Canada tried the diplomatic route, but as the tariffs persisted, the frustration grew. This simmering discontent is the fertile ground from which BC's new toll strategy has sprouted. They're essentially saying, if it's tariffs you like, let's see how you like these tolls. British Columbia decided it was time to write its own chapter in this trade saga. The headline grabber is the new system of tolls on US commercial vehicles. Key routes connecting the US to Alaska through BC are now tolled. Using BC's infrastructure as a shortcut is no longer a free ride, but wait, there's more. BC isn't stopping at just tolls, they're also looking at strategic boycotts. Canadians are actively boycotting certain American goods, targeting products from states supporting tariffs. It's a targeted approach to make specific US interests feel the pinch. And then there's the power of the purse government purchasing policies. The BC government is a huge buyer of goods and services. They're tweaking procurement rules to favor local companies. American companies might find the playing field tilted. This is about using every tool in the provincial toolbox. BC is sending a clear message. We're not just going to sit here and take it. They're demonstrating that they can and will respond to economic pressure with pressure of their own. It's a shift from quiet diplomacy to a more assertive stance. BC just revved its engine. Now, let's talk about who's likely feeling the immediate effects of BC's new premium access plan. All eyes, or rather all cargo trucks, point north to Alaska. Alaska, for all its rugged beauty, has a logistical challenge. It's not directly connected by road to the lower 48 states. That crucial land bridge, a lot of it runs right through British Columbia. So, when BC decides to implement tolls on commercial traffic, Alaskan businesses are the ones reaching for their wallets. The potential economic impact on Alaska could be significant. Nearly everything that comes into Alaska by road or leaves by road has to pass through Canada, primarily BC. Adding hefty tolls to this journey means higher transportation costs. And who usually ends up paying for higher transportation costs? Businesses, and then, ultimately, Alaskan consumers. Suddenly, that gallon of milk or those building supplies in Anchorage or Fairbanks could get noticeably more expensive. This isn't just an abstract economic tiff, it has real-world consequences for Alaskans. Canada unites? Other provinces join the fray. British Columbia has thrown down the gauntlet. But is it going it alone, or is this the start of a bigger Canadian chorus saying enough is enough? Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has publicly voiced his support for British Columbia's strong stance. This is significant. Having the federal government back a province's assertive move sends a much stronger message to Washington. It suggests that British Columbia's actions aren't just a rogue premier going off script, but part of a more coordinated Canadian response. And it's not just the Prime Minister. Whispers and rumbles are coming from other provinces too. While they might not all be rolling out toll booths tomorrow, there's a growing sense of solidarity. Some provincial leaders have made statements supporting British Columbia's right to defend its interests. Others might be looking at their own creative ways to respond to US tariffs. This idea of a united Canadian front is powerful. It changes the dynamic from a local squabble to a national stand. British Columbia's homegrown hustle strengthening from within. While British Columbia is busy playing defense with tolls and potential boycotts, they're also playing offense on the home front. It's not just about reacting to US tariffs, it's also about making their own provincial economy strong and resilient. Think of it as economic self-care. So what does this homegrown hustle look like? The British Columbia government is doubling down on accelerating major projects within the province. This could mean fast-tracking infrastructure developments, better roads, ports, and public transit. It also means investing in key industries like clean technology, digital media, life sciences, and sustainable resource development. The idea is to create more good-paying jobs and stimulate economic activity right there in British Columbia. A huge part of this strategy is trade diversification. British Columbia is actively looking to expand its trade relationships with other parts of the world. They're aggressively courting markets in the Asia-Pacific region, Europe, and Latin America. The ultimate goal is to build a provincial economy that's strong, adaptable, and resilient. Tourism tussle: will Alaska's ire hurt British Columbia getaways? Every action has a reaction, right? And while British Columbia is busy setting up its new toll system, you have to wonder how Alaska is going to respond. One area where Alaska might try to hit British Columbia back is tourism. British Columbia has a massive tourism industry, attracting visitors from all over the world, and a good chunk of those tourists, especially for things like Alaska cruises, pass through or originate from British Columbia ports like Vancouver. So could Alaska try to retaliate by discouraging travel to or through British Columbia? It's possible. Alaskan officials might start suggesting that American tourists should find alternative vacation spots. Or maybe they'll try to make it more difficult for cruise lines that heavily feature British Columbia stops on their Alaskan itineraries. This could be a real concern for British Columbia's tourism sector. Tourism is a huge employer and revenue generator for the province. If Alaska successfully manages to divert even a fraction of that traffic, it could mean job losses and economic hardship in British Columbia's tourism hotspots. It's a reminder that trade disputes rarely stay confined to just the goods being tariffed or tolled. From handshakes to hardball, the new US-Canada vibe. So what does all of this, the tariffs, the tolls, the boycotts, the potential tourism spats, mean for the bigger picture? We're talking about the Canada-US relationship, folks. For decades, it's been characterized by handshakes, mutual respect, and a lot of talk about being the world's closest friends and allies. Sure, there have always been disagreements like any long-term relationship, but the general approach, especially from the Canadian side, has often been one of quiet diplomacy. Well, it seems like those days might be changing. This whole situation signals a shift. We're moving away from the hushed tones of diplomatic backrooms and into the more open arena of public confrontation. This isn't just a minor spat over lumber or dairy, it feels like a fundamental recalibration of how Canada intends to deal with its powerful southern neighbor. Is this a temporary blip or a more permanent change in the US-Canada dynamic? Only time will tell, folks. But one thing's for sure, the relationship is definitely more complicated than just sharing a love for hockey and apologizing a lot.